What's going on, guys? My name is Arvin Saxena, and I am a mentor inside the Platinum VIP community that we have as a part of BSF. In today's video, we're going to go ahead and continue our discussion with the Facebook and Instagram advertising part 5. Now, previously we spoke about horizontal and vertical scaling. But how do we continue to monitor the performance of our ad sets after we go past 1 week? Now, that's definitely a great question. As you guys will run your audiences and ad sets in your campaigns, you're going to start noticing that you get some sales here and there, and then you kind of duplicate those sales 5x within the same campaign, and you're probably wondering, what do I do with the original mother ad set that was running? How do I kind of analyze it? And we discussed last time that when we do get a kind of sale in the mother audience, we give it about 2 to 3 days to see if it brings another sale, and if it does not bring another sale, we turn it off. But if it does bring a sale, we continue to run that another 2 to 3 days and continue that process. Obviously, every 2 to 3 days is a sufficient amount of time for most products that we sell, and a sufficient cost per acquisition for us to go ahead and make some sort of profit here, right? So how do we kind of analyze this past this kind of time frame here, right? We want to use the time range filter, and this is going to be found on the top right of your ads manager screen. And we're really basically concerned with 3 main filters here. We're looking at the past 7-day performance, the past 5-day performance, and the past 3-day performance. And keep in mind, the past 7 days does not include the day you're actually looking at it, right? So that means whenever you are probably checking your ad sets, you're probably doing it past midnight, so it won't include the couple of minutes after midnight, but it will include all the other actual previous days, which is perfect, right? So that means if you're filtering 5 and 3 days, please make sure that you're actually not also including the today filter. You're just including the past 7 days, not today, past 5 days, not today, and past 3 days, not today, right? Now, let's analyze our ad set data in those timeframes to better understand the performance and direction that we're going to, right? So we can now kind of use these rules that I've created here to effortlessly understand what we have to do. And past 7 days, P7D means past 7 days, P5D is past 5 days, P3D is past 3 days, break even ROAS, BEROAS is break even ROAS, and then you have the less than sign, you have the greater than sign, and then you have pause and kill. Pause and continue. Sorry, pause means you basically pause the ad set, and continue means you continue running the ad set, right? So what does this exactly mean here? So when you have a couple of sales on your audiences within a specific campaign, it becomes very challenging to understand, like, what am I going to do here exactly, right? Am I increasing budget? Am I decreasing budget? Am I killing this? What does a break-even ROAS mean? All that stuff is kind of very complicated here, and this is what I'm going to kind of describe here, right? So what we want to do is when we have a couple of sales and we ran past 7 days, we want to see whether it's worth keeping these audiences or whether it's actually worth just killing them, and taking the loss or cutting the losses short, or taking whatever the profit we have and continuing on with our campaign, right? So we look at the past 7 days, past 5 days, and past 3 days, and basically we compare the return on ad spend. We compare the ROAS, right? So past 7 days ROAS, and we compare this with break even. So after, in our previous videos, we discussed how to calculate the break-even return on ad spend. Now we compare what the current return on ad spend is, right? Now, what is return on ad spend again? Simply as put, let's say you spent $15 and you made back $45. Your return on ad spend is 3. So we compare that number with our break-even. Now, let's say, for example, our break-even is 2. Right, and then we have past 7 days ROAS is whatever it is. You'll have to compare these two. So if past 7 days is less than your break-even point, meaning you're unprofitable, past 5 days is less than your break-even point, meaning you're unprofitable, and past 3 days are less than break-even ROAS, which is unprofitable, meaning it's clearly telling you that you should go ahead and pause this ad set. It's not really performing well. Same thing, past 7 days, if it's less than break-even, past 5 days it's greater than break-even, but past 3 days it's still less than break-even, you still go ahead and pause that. Now, when would you continue this? Well, you would continue the specific ad set if your past 7 days is less than break-even, but it seems like your past 5 and your past 3 have been climbing. So it starts to look like it's trending upwards. So then you can go ahead and continue that. Past 7, if it's greater than break even, which is this scenario is probably where most people get confused, and I'll explain to you why. Because you see past 7, which is like a lot of time frame is greater than break even, but you notice that past 5 and past 3 is not doing really well. And you ask yourself, man, it's not really getting, any profitability here, and it's kind of declining steadily, but you're kind of wanting to kill it. You're wanting to run it because you see it's profitable in the long term, but you still are, kind of confused because it's dropping in performance. Well, in this case, you want to pause that, because the more you continue to run this, the more you run the risk of actually just kind of eating out of your margins, because, you make a sale, you get some profit. But if you continue to run that ad set past the time it needs to be ran for, you're going to go ahead and, suffer losses, because directly you're eating into your margins. You're actually spending more and more and more until all your margins are gone. That's why you want to follow this rule. Same thing here. Past 7 days is greater, and past 5 days is greater, but maybe past 3 days didn't look as good. Okay, we'll give it a try. Go ahead and continue that, right? Past 7 days is greater, past 5 days is greater, and past 3 days is greater. Obviously, we want to go ahead and make sure we continue that, right? Now, from the above rules here, you can probably notice a trend, right? Anytime a rule has 2 or more instances of less than or greater than, it determines whether we actually pause it or continue it. For example, we have 2 incidences, 1, 2, and 3 of less than. That means we pause. Greater than means we continue. Same thing here, 1, 2, meaning we pause. But in this case, we have greater than 2 incidences here, we continue. That's basically what I mean by the trend, and it makes it easier for us to understand. Of course, you guys can simply just go ahead and copy this and make sure that you're following this. But yeah, guys, this is super important for you to make sure that you're actually continuing to run your ad sets properly, because a lot of people get confused and say, hey, it seems like I'm profitable lifetime and I'm making sales, but unfortunately what happens is you're running into your profit margins, and then when your entire campaign is below break even, you kill it, which doesn't make sense, because now you've lost all your money, right? So essentially what you want to do is you want to be very, very diligent and very, very careful when you follow these rules. I call this rule the time-based return rule. So basically looking at the time, I base whether I want to continue it or I want to pause anything. And also, guys, keep in mind when you do follow this rules, if it is very positive and you do want to continue it, what you can do is you can simply go ahead and boost the budget continuously, right? You have 5, 10 sales, etc. You have ran for 7 days. It looks like it's profitable. What you can do is try to boost your budget and see whether it's going to continue that trend of increasing. And if it doesn't continue that trend of increasing, you can go ahead and revert back to the original budget. And if it still doesn't continue the trend of increasing, you can go ahead and kill, right? So there's a lot of work that we can do to continue to optimize our ads and our audiences here. And I hope this helps, guys. Thank you so much.